What I'm about to tell you, and this is kind of a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a little bit of a, could be considered a secret, maybe? Or did I just really want to use this effect? Okay, so this is a little bit of a secret that I probably wouldn't tell a whole lot of people, but here it is on the internet. What I'm about to talk to you about today is something that I have been playing by. I done all the traditional lessons when I was younger, all the traditional lessons. I did all the grades, up to grade 8. They're sort of considered the non-professional grades that you can do in piano, piano performance. And I also did most of the theory grades as well. So I got it to about grade 6, I think, in theory when I was a teenager. I got this far. I played in the church band, and I played in other bands. I had my own girl group where we wrote songs and played and performed. Music was very probably the biggest part of my life, and playing by ear was one of those things that I loved to do. I wasn't incredible at it, but it was something that I loved to have a go at. And what I'm about to share to you today, this technique, this tool that you can discover, is something that I did not discover until I did my music degree at university, right? So this is something that most piano teachers do not or cannot teach. And this is why I'm really, really excited to bring it to you today, because even though it's something that in the traditional training, I love looking at, sorry, I get sidetracked by the comments. Alexandra says, howdy, sprinkled. Yay, thank you, Alex. And Ahmed says hello again. Hi. So make sure you sprinkle that on your timeline if you want that 10% off discount. So this is something that I didn't learn about until I got to university and did my music degree. When I tell you what it is, you're going to be like, crazy. This is crazy, because it's the type of thing we talk about in the creative pianist, in the piano picnic courses, and in the creative pianist membership. We're always talking about this, and I'll get to it in a second. But when you learn piano the traditional way, it's not likely that you are going to be given these tools, and that just makes me sad. So this is essentially why I am a piano teacher. I never wanted to be a piano teacher when I was younger. That's another secret. Hey, so I'm kind of I'm going to do confetti for this secret, because or maybe a drum roll, right? I never wanted to be a piano teacher when I was younger, and it was because I didn't want to teach the things that I was being taught by my piano teacher. And then I discovered this whole other world of creative piano playing, and I was like, I want to teach that. And my mum was like, told you. My mum always told me that I should be a piano teacher, and I was like, no, never. I wasn't planning to tell that story today, but it's true. I didn't want to teach piano until I realized that I could do it differently and actually teach people the skills that I'm passionate about, which is these creative piano playing skills. So if you are someone that wants to play piano creatively, give me a thumbs up on the video, give me a thumbs up in the comments, because I suspect that's why you guys are all here. So we're going to get into it in a very hot minute. Hi Valerie. Valerie's here watching. Hi, thank you for coming. And it's great to see you guys all here. It's so great. I'm loving the turnout today. Okay, so we've done the introduction. We've done the secret, which is that this isn't something that's taught. Let's get into it. Okay. Oh, here we go. Some technical difficulties. Here we go. Okay, so key stabbing in the dark. It sounds very violent, especially when I put a little dagger there. But this is that idea that when we're playing by ear, sometimes it can feel like we're just stabbing the notes in the dark, blindfolded, trying to find which keys we're going to play, right? If you've done that, let me know in the comments, because I certainly have, right? Or it can feel like the note lottery, you know? You're going to be lucky if you get the winning note that you're looking for. And when we're doing it this way, it's very slow progress, right? It's like waiting for that loading bar back when internet was like dial up, right? It's like dial up piano playing. It's very, very slow, and it can be really frustrating because playing by ear seems like an easier way to learn songs than reading from sheet music, but in the moment it can feel like it takes a really, really long time until we develop those skills, right, and get some more tools in our toolbox. So slow progress, it's a note lottery. We're stabbing around in the dark and can not know what we're doing, and there's one thing, and this is the topic for today. I know I've been working up to it for a long time. I'm going to put a drum roll here because why wouldn't I? So, oh man, I'm having so much fun. Of course, when we shine the light in the dark, it's chord progressions. And I know that when I say chord progressions, you guys don't all go, yay, chord progressions, yay, chord progressions, yay. It doesn't seem that exciting, right, does it? Yeah, maybe. It's got the word progress in it, so that's fun. We can make more progress with chord progressions. But why is it so exciting? I know it's not exciting at face value, but we're going to get into that in just a second. So let's talk a little bit about what makes music so wonderful. We're going to backtrack here a little bit and then come back to chord progressions. So music is mood, right? And you may not have thought about it that way, but what gives music its power and its emotiveness is harmony, right? But when we are listening to music, it's very, 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 very rare that, and usually quite abstract, if the music we're listening to is literally just one chord, right? Most of the time, it's a series of chords, right? It's harmony with movement. The chords are moving. And when we add movement to our chords, that is when we get something that's a lot more exciting. And I'm sorry if I know this is like crazy graphics here, but I loved it. So maybe you think about this picture when you think about harmony, because it's that mood that we want with music is about chords moving, and our harmony is moving, okay? And that's when it becomes exciting. That's when we get a mood, and that's when we can be purposeful about what we move to and how we move there. So, chords plus movement equals a chord progression. So we add the movement to the chords in order to get that emotive power that we want with music. And I'm saying we add that. Who adds that? We add it when we're songwriting, and other people add it when they're songwriting. So ipso facto, if we are trying to figure out a chord by ear, it helps us to know a little bit about why someone would choose to use a certain type of movement or a certain type of chord progression, as we can call that in a different way, and what chord progressions most people are likely to use, okay? We're getting there. We're adding it all together. So you will know about this when you hear some music. Oh, Alex says, yay for creativity. Thank you, Alex. I do get to the comments eventually. Sometimes it's a little bit long. Thank you for pitching in. I love you guys having this this back and forth. It's really cool. So I'm actually kind of wearing the same shirt as my cartoon. That wasn't really on purpose. So that's fun. when you're listening to music and it sort of sounds like it's normal, it's something, it's not too out of the scope of the sort of thing you normally hear. Now, how are we able to tell if music is normal? How do we tell? Is it just because it's from a familiar artist that we normally listen to, or is there something else more deeper than that? Well, I'm here to say that when we hear music and it sounds normal or familiar or comfortable, it's because they have decided that the songwriters, the people that have made that song, have decided to use a classic chord progression or a common chord progression. And that common chord progression is known by many people. It's known by all of us. It's not just the fact that whoever started songs back in the beginning started doing that and we've just copied them ever since, and so therefore we're all familiar with it. Even if you heard a song for the first time, it would feel normal if it had used a common chord progression. Not because we've heard it so many times, but because it is known to feel comfortable. It's a harmonious progression of chords. So it's a harmonious movement of chords, right? Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not just that we've heard it a lot of times, it also intrinsically is known to sound comfortable. There's no tension in it, right? So those chord progressions are things that songwriters will employ, and there's many of them. There's the ones that you might be familiar with. For instance, we have the blues progression. You know, even if you don't know what that is, you know that you've heard it before, right? We have the doo-wop progression, which is originated around the 50s, and it's used in many things today as well. We have something called the perfect cadence, and you might not know what that term means, but you definitely know it when you hear it. That's when at the end of a composition or a song where it goes ba ba, you know, and you just know that the song's finished. You just know, even if you don't know anything about music. And then we've got the circle of fifths, which is when chord progressions use when they move down or even up, but mostly when they move down in fifths, it sounds very comfortable to us. Do we know why? I know that people have studied this and found like the scientific reasons with all the frequencies as to why that feels so good. I don't feel like I need to know that stuff. I don't have a brain for the intricacies of science. It does interest me, but I haven't looked into it myself. But it's just knowing that we feel good when these progressions are used. And so songwriters can use these progressions to make us feel comfortable, which is why they're not used by accident. They're used very specifically to gain a particular mood from the listener, which is often familiar and with much pop music is happy and nice and comfortable, right? So that is why with playing by ear, we always recommend that you start with playing pop songs first, or things that are in the realm of pop, as in popular music, because it's more likely to have been created to be comfortable, and therefore you can rely on that music using a certain group of chord progressions that are the common chord progressions. Okay, if everyone's still following me, because we're getting a bit heavy here, so give me a little what should we say, just give me a okay in the comments if you're still following, just so that I know that I haven't lost you. Okay. All right, so now certain chord changes have characteristic uses, right? So we have these chord progressions, chord changes, however you want to say them. They have characteristic uses, like the blues chord progression is used for blues music. And wait, what does that mean? Hey, my notes have gone weird. Why? Yeah, sorry. My notes went really strange for a second. And learning their sounds and how they change the mood can drastically improve your ability to play by ear. So you can start to see that if we hear those chord progressions, if we learn those chord progressions and train ourselves to know the common ones, even a few, then we can use that as a reference point to be able to guess what chords may be playing or what sort of chord progression might be playing in a song. Cool. Alex says, still with you. Valerie says, got it. My light's just gone out because it's run out of batteries, which means I'm going to start washing out now, but it's okay. And Bev says, wish I could see or hear examples. That sounds like a really good, excellent idea. I didn't think of that. Gosh, I should, next time I will do that. So, I don't have examples today, but I will... Maybe I'll find some examples after this and send you guys some links so you can hear what I'm talking about. But as soon as you start to learn more about chord progressions, you start to pay more attention to the music you hear. So you will start to notice next time that you are listening to some music and you feel very comfortable, think, why is that? I wonder what chord progression they're using, right? Even just that thought is just a little bit more active than what we are used to just passively taking in music. So, do we have to, going back to my point, rather than having to guess each individual chord on its own, which is what last month's coaching we were talking about chords, if we learn to recognize chords on their own, that is a good skill. But also if we can learn to recognize a chord progression as a whole, so that sounds familiar, I wonder if it's this chord progression, then that will tell you which chords to play and you can start to learn songs much quicker. Do you have to know all of the chords and all of the chord progressions? No, you don't. But for every new one that you learn and become familiar, you're going to have that in your arsenal and in your toolbox. And then you can use the ones that you know as a reference point. So if you have a chord progression and you hear one and you think, oh, that sounds a little bit like the doo-wop chord progression, but there's something different about it, then at least that's still a starting point, right? Rather than the stabbing around in the dark. So it helps at any level. And so we are turning on this light. It's no longer stabbing around in the dark. We are learning chord progressions, becoming familiar with the common chord progressions in particular. And then we are not making so many guesses when it comes to playing by ear. Now, as I said before, I teach this stuff because for me, I didn't find out a lot of this until I went and did my music degree. And I was baffled that I'd been playing chords for years. I've been playing from lead sheets for years. I've been learning to play songs by ear and writing songs. I've been a creative pianist, which is why I decided to go do a music degree. Obviously, it was already something that I was passionate about, but I didn't realize that there were common chord progressions that were used within popular music, that if I learned them, then I essentially knew the secrets, right? Because sometimes you can feel like when you're playing by ear or when you're writing a song, you just feel like, what don't I know? I feel like there's just something I don't know that everyone else knows, and I feel silly, and this is taking too long. If you've ever felt that before, you'll know when I said that, but I have felt that. I felt it that way a lot. I felt like I had the passion. I felt like I had some natural ability, but I just feel like there was something I didn't know, some secret key to the city, right? That, I can tell you, is harmony. Now, knowing everything there is to know about harmony is a long journey. We have, as I said in the broadcast last week, you can study it for your whole lifetime and you can get really intense about jazz harmony and all that sort of thing. But we can also learn it from a very beginner point of view, and it's still going to make you a better musician even from that beginner stage and learning about chord progressions. And this is just not something that you get taught by piano teachers. And I find that really sad. But they're just teaching the way that they were taught, So this is why I teach this stuff, because I think it gives you the keys that unlock that creative playing rather than just being sort of stuck in playing the same old pieces that we've played since the 1600s. Woohoo! Okay. So that is why I am doing this coaching this month. It's on chord progressions. It's about giving you guys a knowledge of harmony so that you can be a creative pianist, even if you don't necessarily want to go and do a music degree to be a professional musician. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for joining in on the comments. It really makes it so much more fun when I can talk to you guys directly. And Mary Harris's show notes. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And remember to play it like you mean it.